They were great days when we used to walk to school through the floods and walk home in the heat and eat half the bread that we bought at the bread shop on the way home.
I suppose my main hobby was stamp collecting. I guess also during my life before I got married, Mum and Dad always had some sort of a pet. Most times it was a budgie.
Fond memories of meeting Danny was I was sitting up this main street one afternoon with my girlfriends, the Arnica girls, and this Volkswagen went past and this guy in the car, and I said, "Who's that?" Because they had said, "Oh, that's Peanuts." And I said, "Who?" And they said, "That's Peanuts." And I said, "That's not his name." And they said, "Yes, it is. His name's Danny Kent." I said, Oh, I'd like to meet him.
The girls had told Margie that I worked in a bank, and I don't know whether Margie probably got the wrong impression what a banker was. I think she used to think the bank, if you worked in a bank, you walked around with most of the money in your wallet. I didn't have a lot of money in my wallet. I was still paying off the car. Our wedding day.
Yeah. Well, did you propose for your wedding?
Oh, yes. I definitely proposed.
Did you go around and see grandfather?
Yes, I nearly got drop kicked out the door. No, not quite. Now, I recall round at our house when I was getting ready, my best man was a guy called Graham Macklin who used to work in the bank with me, and the groomsman was Guido Arnica, one of the Arnica boys who had the farm up at Mullet Creek. I recall having to have a few stiff scotches to help out my nerves before we went and got in the car and drove off to the church.
And I arrived, not very late.
But late. I do recall Margie being late because literally ever since that day she's never ever been late again. I also recall when we went to the reception that the Margie didn't drink much. I mean, she actually introduced me to the grog, but she didn't drink. But they actually had a green keg. The keg was green, the beer wasn't, and it came through a temperite system. And this was in January when we got married, so it was hot anyway. And obviously I got a few dirty glasses along the road because I got this splitting blooming headache. Our reception was at a place called Fallon House in Key Street, just near the old traffic bridge here in Bundaberg, hey. And thankfully there was no 0.08 or 0.05 drinking because I rolled out the door and Margie wasn't far behind. She had to watch herself with her parents' butt because, you know, they didn't want to see their daughter too shot.
They didn't even know I drank.
No, but you showed them that night you could. From this Fallon House in Key Street down to a motel at Bagara, didn't we? Now, how that VW
got down there.
Ever got to Bagara,
we don't know.
They must have had GPS or something.
We were meant to be together.
And I say it was the happiest day of my life, if you could roll it back to the start. It was the happiest day of my life, the wedding day, yeah, to date. The opportunity came up to join CSR, which had many sugar mills. So we joined CSR, we went up to Cairns at the end of 1970. Had 1 year there, then CSR took me down to Sydney, the whole family. We went down to Sydney for 1972 where I actually finished my studies, thanks to CSR. I was half study, half work. They then transferred us back up to Cairns, 1973. Margie and I said, you know, gee whiz, this will be no good for our three kids now educationally if we're going to keep bouncing around in CSR all the time. So an opportunity came up to come back to Bundaberg and Bundaberg Sugar. So seeing our parents were here and Bundaberg Sugar then only had sugar mills in the Bundaberg area, we moved back to Bundaberg towards the end of 1973 at a place called South Killeen. I went out there as the accountant. There were two sugar mills then, the one at South Killeen and the one at Wallable. We then determined that with all these moving around it wasn't going to help the kids' education, didn't we? Because we'd just seen Peter go through New South Wales being different to Queensland. So then, fortunately, a job come up in Bundaberg Sugar at a mill out near South Killeen. So I put in for that. Not only did we want to come back because that at least the kids could be permanent, but also both lots of grandparents and our parents lived here.
Yes.
So we put in and we came back here in August 1973. We spent about 6 years out at the South Killeen Mill, living in a mill house. We went to a thing called the Ferrymead Mill, lived there for a year and a half, didn't we? Then we moved into a big old Queensland house, beautiful one, in Bourbon Street, nearly opposite the Mater Hospital, where we lived for,
10 years.
10 years. Kids grew up there, went to school from there. By then they were riding bikes to school. They finished their school while we were in that house. In my life, in our married life, that I could have changed or seen changed, one would have been I would have. You can't achieve these things, I know, but if Pop simply had to live to see his first grandchild, he only had to live another 2 weeks.
That would have been wonderful.
That would have been great. Secondly, if I hadn't have been away as much as I was away and spent a lot of the family growing up, you can't get that time back. And thirdly, of course, was Kathy's passing. She went too young. Otherwise, I think we've had a great life. We have enjoyed looking after the grandchildren over the last 5 years, haven't we? Something we never planned to do.
They've been a real joy, and it's been a learning lesson for us as well as grandparents. But they have been a real joy to look after. We've had our moments, but all in all, they're very good.
So I suppose I have what I think's a reasonably basic and simple philosophy on life and what I'd like to see for the future. I mean, you need to keep fit and you need to keep healthy, and really that's something you yourself control. But for our kids and for our grandkids, I mean, I hope that their dreams come true. That they do keep healthy and fit. If their dreams come true, they'll be happy. And I think maybe at the end of the day, it's all about happiness and health, isn't it?
Yes, I think so.
I mean, those things create love.
They do, and if you can pass that on to your children, I think that's life. In 41 years since we got married, we have had a very happy marriage. I feel that we are very good friends, and we love doing things together, and that's been really good all through our marriage, that we have liked each other's company and we have liked being with one another. We combine very well. I make him do all the vacuuming, and I
share the cooking.
I do the washing of the floors, and we share the cooking and we share the everyday things, which is all very nice. Yes, and I think I'll keep you.